Hey friend, in today's watercolor tutorial, I'm going to be teaching how to paint this mama and baby whale just beneath the ocean's surface. Without further ado, let's get painting. For today's tutorial, I'm just going to be using 4 colors. We've got Cobalt Turquoise, Aqua Green, Prussian Blue, and Black by Winsor & Newton. The paper I've taped down here is a size 5 by 7 inches, and I'm using a size 6 and size 12 round Princeton brush. To get started, I just want to do a large wash all across the page with some clean water. And with this painting, we're going to be utilizing a lot of wet and wet technique. And at the end, we'll do a little bit of wet and dry to paint our whale. But I'm basically just going to really saturate this page with water to start, so that way we have a lot of nice organic movement with our colors and bleeds as well. Towards this left area here, I'm going to be keeping a little area kind of basically white. I'll let some of the color bleed through, but this is going to be our highlight point where like the sun is the most dominant. And to start, I'm just going to do a little loose circle. And the circle is going to be super loose, so it's not going to be a perfect circle. As you can see, I have some curvature here. I'm just letting it kind of bleed and do its thing. And then I'm going to take a little bit more concentrated amounts of this turquoise, and just using the belly of my large brush here, my size 12 brush, I'm just kind of adding some variegation in the texture of the color as I lay it out. Then once I have a good layer of our Cobalt Turquoise, I'm now going to go to the next brightest color, which is our Aqua Green, or the next deeper in color. And I kind of want to mimic almost like some streak-like texture here. So I'm taking the belly of my brush with this Aqua Green, and I'm just doing a few just organic, really loose, variegated strokes, almost like mimicking sun rays. So I'm kind of fanning them out and having them point towards the center of the circle here. And I'm allowing them to just slightly overlap and bleed and mesh with the Cobalt Turquoise. Mimicking some of that sun ray texture that's super loose. All right, and then once we have that, I want to next grab our Prussian Blue, and I'm just going to do the same kind of texture, sunray texture, and I'm just kind of overlapping it somewhat, allowing it to bleed out. And we're moving rather quickly because we don't want our page to dry as we're adding this. So we just want to have some of the color have some variegation and not 100% bleed out to where it's just one solid color. But just by texturizing and adding some of these kind of sunray brush strokes, we will see some of that texture as it bleeds gently, and it'll just overlap and mesh really well with the previous lighter colors. And I'll just bring the Prussian Blue all the way to the corners. I'm having just a few touches where you can really see the Prussian Blue. Alrighty. Next, I actually just want to add a few more touches of the Cobalt Turquoise. Just a couple pops of that color. Just using the belly of the brush just to texturize it a little bit. Alrighty. Next, I'm just gonna take a little bit more of that Cobalt Turquoise, and all I wanna do is just add a few washes, very watered down, but just blot some of this transition into the circle with mostly water and a touch of that cobalt, just to kind of ease this transition here. Very nice. So now the blend is just a little bit softer, which I love. And last but not least, I'm going to take some black, and I really want to add black here to add a really vivid contrast. So I'm going to use black all over the borders except for this left border where our white highlight is. But I'm just going to saturate the border here with a good amount of black. And then I'm gonna go ahead and rinse off my brush and just blot it out a little bit. And I'm gonna take my clean brush and just help kind of buff out the transition of the black to mesh well and combine a little bit using that similar kind of sun ray motion and texture all throughout. And if needed, you can add a little bit more black in the corners here. It's just gonna add even more contrast to the light here versus the shadow. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this set and dry, and then when we come back, we can go ahead and add our cute little whale silhouette. Now the water has all dried, and I'm gonna switch gears to my size 6 brush, and we are going to start our whale. I'm gonna be mostly using a blend of Prussian Blue that I'm gonna mix up with some black, because I want like a nice cooler tone black blue color for our whale, so that way it'll really pop and have a beautiful contrast against the water. So with the whale, I'm gonna start by doing a really just subtle kind of curved swooping line, and definitely take your time with this. I've almost got like a subtle like S curve going on. Now this is going to be its head over here, so I'm just gonna kind of curve this outward a little bit more and then kind of round up the top here. And then I'm just gonna do kind of almost a parallel swooping line. I don't even know if swooping is a word, but I use it a lot in my tutorials. So thank you for humoring me with all my funny, quirky word choices. But here I've got kind of the belly of the whale, so I'm just gonna kind of widen this part a little bit. All right, and then it's gonna just get narrow as we get towards the top here. So we've got almost just like this open U letter shape here. And then once I get to the tail area, I want to do an open curve just like so on either side. And then once I paint these kind of curves on either side, this brush work right here almost just looks like a cartoon bird. So you can see it's like a flat V shape. And then from here, I'm just going to kind of extend the points on either side. Give it a little bit of a cat eye eyeliner action here. Okay, so next I want to paint our little kind of fins. So I'm just going to do a really small one kind of tucked behind here that we hardly see, and then a slightly larger one over here. So just to break down the shape, it's almost like an oval and then with an elongated point on the right side. And I am just going to fill this in with our Prussian Blue black combo. And I'll be sure to actually add a little bit of black to shade some more of the whale, just to give it a little bit more shadow in certain areas. And I'm actually just going to elongate the face here just a little bit more. All right, because this left side is our light source, I want to add a little bit of a highlight. So I'm just going to rinse my brush a little bit and then just take a clean brush and lift just a little bit of the pigment on this left side. And a little bit on this left tail. And just on the top of its head. All right, and then I'm just going to take a touch of black and shade the belly on the right side. And then I'm just going to take a clean, kind of slightly damp brush and just kind of help buff out that transition between the shadow and the highlight. Then as needed, you can just lift any more pigment. something I didn't plan to do, but I thought would be really cute is adding a baby whale right here. And I'm just gonna mix some more of that Prussian blue with some black. And I'm gonna kind of do a similar pose, but it's kind of less angled. And I will start with a smaller kind of subtle upside down kind of rainbow curve, just like so. And then I'll give it a curve towards its head right here. And then here's its little belly, kind of mimicking the similar shape up towards the top here. And then it'll get nice and narrow towards where its tail is. And maybe its tail is just partially angled in view. And then from here, I will just give it a fin slightly just swooping downward. And then I'll do a second smaller fin on the other side, just kind of tucked right in, just like so. And then from here, I will just color this in with our Prussian Blue black combo. And then up towards the top, I will give it a little bit of a highlight, just like we did with our mama whale. All right, so I'm just gonna rinse my brush off and clean it on my paper towel. And then from here, I will just use my clean dry brush to just give a highlight and lift some of the pigment while it's still wet towards the top. I hope that you enjoyed this watercolor whale tutorial with this beautiful highlight of the sun beneath the surface of the ocean. Be sure to like this video and check out my other ocean watercolor tutorials on my channel and subscribe so that way you don't miss any further watercolor tutorials.